The bond between Bella and Max was unbreakable. Bella, a kind-hearted girl with a gentle smile, had adopted Max when he was just a tiny puppy. From the moment she saw him, his golden fur and those wide, trusting eyes, she knew he was special. Max was her shadow, following her everywhere. Whether she was reading on the porch or hiking through the nearby woods. They shared a connection that needed no words. Their love was felt in every wag of Max's tail and every warm hug Bella gave him. One bright morning, Bella decided to visit her grandmother, who lived in a small village 2 hours away. The trip would involve a train journey, something Bella was excited about. Max, wagging his tail excitedly, trotted behind her as she packed her bag. "You're coming with me, Max," she said, scratching behind his ears. "I can't leave you behind." Max barked happily, as if he understood every word. The two set off for the train station, Bella carrying a small bag and Max on a leash, his nose sniffing the cool morning air. At the station, people smiled at Max, charmed by his cheerful demeanor. Bella made sure he was comfortable as they boarded the train, finding a quiet corner where Max could rest. The journey started smoothly, with Bella stroking Max's fur as the countryside rolled by. But halfway through the trip, the train jolted to an abrupt stop. "What's happening?" Bella asked aloud, her heart skipping a beat. Passengers murmured about a technical issue as the train staff announced a short delay. Bella decided to step outside for fresh air, taking Max with her. The train had stopped near a forested area, the trees swaying gently in the breeze. Max seemed curious, sniffing the ground and wagging his tail. Bella held onto his leash tightly, knowing how adventurous he could be. But as she turned to grab her bag, a sudden loud noise startled Max, a burst of sound from the train's engine. Panicked, Max yanked the leash from Bella's hand and bolted into the woods. "Max!" Bella screamed, running after him. Her heart pounded as she chased him through the dense trees, but Max was too fast, his fear driving him deeper into the forest. Bella tripped over a root, falling hard onto the ground. By the time she got up, Max was out of sight. Tears streamed down her face as she called his name repeatedly, her voice echoing through the trees. But Max didn't return. After hours of searching, Bella was forced to go back to the train. The staff assured her they would help search and alert the local animal shelters, but Bella felt a hollow ache in her chest as the train pulled away, leaving the forest and Max behind. Max, meanwhile, was terrified. The sudden noise and the unfamiliar forest overwhelmed him. He ran until his legs ached, finally stopping near a small stream. His heart raced as he looked around, realizing he was completely alone. The comforting presence of Bella was gone, and the forest's silence felt menacing. Hunger and exhaustion soon set in. Max sniffed around, searching for anything to eat. He found a few berries on a bush, but their bitter taste made him gag. He drank from the stream, the cold water soothing his dry throat. As night fell, the forest transformed into a place of shadows and eerie sounds. Max curled up under a tree, shivering as the wind howled through the branches. The next morning, Max's struggle continued. He wandered aimlessly, his paws sore from walking on rough terrain. He encountered a group of stray dogs near a clearing. At first, Max's tail wagged, hoping for companionship, but the other dogs growled, their eyes hostile. Max backed away slowly, his ears flattened against his head. The leader of the pack lunged at him, nipping his hind leg, as Max turned and ran as fast as he could. The wound stung, and Max limped to a safe spot near a fallen log. He licked his leg, whimpering softly. The pain was unbearable, but the fear of those aggressive dogs kept him alert. For the next few days, Max's survival depended on his instincts. He scavenged for food, digging through discarded trash near a small roadside. Once he found a piece of bread, stale but edible. Another time, a kind stranger tossed him a piece of sandwich, but before Max could approach, a crow swooped in and snatched it away. Max's golden fur grew dirty, matted with mud and twigs. He had lost weight, his ribs beginning to show. Despite the hardships, one thing kept him going, the thought of Bella. Even in his fear and pain, Max remembered her voice, her touch, and the warmth of her love. He would often stop and look around, as if hoping she might appear out of nowhere. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Max stumbled upon a highway. The loud noises of speeding cars frightened him, but he was too weak to run. A car zoomed by, its headlights blinding him for a moment. Max froze, his legs trembling. Just as another vehicle approached, a man stepped out from a nearby truck and scooped Max up in his arms. "Easy there, boy," the man said, his voice calm. He carried Max to the side of the road and offered him some water from a bottle. Max drank greedily, his tail wagging faintly. The man checked Max's leg, frowning at the injury. "You've been through a lot, haven't you?" he murmured. For the first time in days, Max felt a glimmer of hope. The man placed him in the truck, wrapping him in an old blanket. As the truck rumbled down the highway, Max looked out the window, his eyes scanning the horizon. Somewhere out there, Bella was waiting for him. And no matter how hard the journey, Max knew he had to find her again. Max's journey was far from over. Although the kind man had given him temporary safety, Max's heart ached for Bella. Every night, as the truck stopped for rest, Max would sit by the window, staring at the stars, his mind filled with memories of her voice and touch. He didn't understand why they were apart, but he knew he had to find her. The man, whose name was Joe, owned a small farmhouse near the edge of another town. When they arrived, Joe set Max down gently on the porch. "You're safe here, boy," Joe said, stroking Max's head, "but I can't keep you forever." Max's tail wagged weakly, but his eyes stayed focused on the distant horizon. At the farmhouse, Max regained some of his strength. Joe fed him warm meals, treated his injured leg, and gave him a comfortable place to rest. Yet every time Joe tried to tie Max up in the yard, Max would whimper and pull at the leash, his eyes pleading to be let go. Joe sighed, shaking his head. "You've got somewhere you need to be, don't you?" he said one morning, watching Max stare longingly down the road. Joe decided to let Max go, though it pained him. "Go find whoever you're looking for," he said, crouching down to scratch behind Max's ears one last time. "And stay safe, okay?" Max barked softly, as if thanking Joe, before setting off down the road with a determined gait. The days that followed were grueling. Max's paws grew sore from walking on hot pavement and rough gravel. Food was scarce and water even scarcer. He encountered dangers at every turn. Once a group of stray dogs cornered him in an alley, their snarls echoing off the walls. Max's heart raced as he backed away slowly, his fur bristling. Just as one of the dogs lunged, a loud bang startled them all. A trash can tipping over, the noise scared the pack away, leaving Max trembling but unharmed. Another time, Max tried to cross a river, thinking it might lead him closer to Bella. The current was stronger than it looked, and Max struggled to keep his head above water. His legs kicked frantically, and his breath came in short gasps. Finally, he managed to grab hold of a fallen branch and pull himself to safety, collapsing on the riverbank, exhausted and soaked. Through it all, Max held on to one thing: the memory of Bella, her laughter, her gentle hands, the way she'd call his name. It was his beacon in the darkness, even when hunger gnawed at his stomach or fear gripped his heart. Max kept moving forward. One evening, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Max came across a bustling market in a small town. The smells of grilled meat and fresh bread made his stomach growl loudly. Max cautiously approached a food stall, his eyes wide and hopeful. The vendor noticed him and frowned. "Get out of here, mutt," he said, waving a stick. Max backed away quickly, his ears flattening in disappointment. But not everyone was unkind. A little girl standing nearby noticed Max and tugged at her mother's hand. "Mommy, he looks so hungry," she said, her voice full of concern. The mother hesitated, then handed her daughter a small piece of bread. The girl approached Max carefully, holding out the bread. "Here you go, doggy," she said with a smile. Max sniffed the bread cautiously before taking it gently from her hand. His tail wagged for the first time in days. The girl giggled, clapping her hands. "He likes it, Mommy." The small act of kindness renewed Max's strength. He left the market with a lighter heart, determined to continue his search. Days turned into weeks, and Max's journey stretched on. He faced more challenges. A thunderstorm that left him shivering under a bridge, a narrow escape from a speeding car, and nights spent in the cold with only his thoughts to keep him company. Meanwhile, Bella hadn't stopped searching for Max. She had put up flyers in every town and called every animal shelter she could find. "Have you seen a golden retriever, about this tall with the sweetest eyes?" she'd asked desperately, holding up a picture of Max. But every answer was the same: no. Late one evening, Bella sat by her bedroom window, clutching Max's favorite toy. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Where are you, Max? Please come back to me." Max's journey finally brought him to a familiar place, the edge of the forest where he had first been separated from Bella. His legs trembled as he stepped onto the trail, memories flooding back. He sniffed the air, catching faint scents that stirred something deep within him. Bella's scent. It was faint, almost lost among the forest's earthy smells, but it was enough to ignite a spark of hope. As Max pushed through the trees, his surroundings grew more recognizable. The small stream where he had rested before came into view. His tail wagged weakly as he lapped up the cool water, his energy renewed. He kept moving, driven by the thought of Bella waiting for him. Just as the sun dipped below the horizon, Max reached the edge of the forest. Ahead, he saw a small figure standing by the train tracks. It was Bella, her silhouette illuminated by the fading light. She was holding one of his old leashes, her eyes scanning the forest with a mix of hope and despair. Max's heart leapt. With every ounce of strength left in his weary body, he ran toward her, barking loudly. Bella turned, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Max?" she called, her voice trembling. When Max reached her, he jumped into her arms, licking her face as tears streamed down her cheeks. "You came back," Bella whispered, hugging him tightly. "I knew you'd find me." For the first time in weeks, Max felt truly safe. The hardships, the pain, the fear, it had all been worth it. He was finally home. The reunion between Bella and Max was nothing short of magical. As Bella held Max close, her tears soaking into his fur, the world around them seemed to disappear. Max's tail wagged furiously, and his joyful barks echoed through the quiet forest. He licked her face, his golden eyes shining with the love and relief that only he could express. "I missed you so much," Bella whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "I thought I'd lost you forever." Max pressed his nose into her neck, as if to say, "I'm here now. I'll never leave you again." As night fell, Bella and Max made their way back to her grandmother's house. Bella carried Max part of the way, his weary body too weak to walk the entire distance. Along the way, she spoke to him softly, recounting the endless days she had spent searching and the hope she had clung to despite everything. When they arrived, Bella's grandmother was waiting at the door. "Oh, Bella, you found him!" she exclaimed, tears welling in her eyes as she took in Max's thin, dirty form. "We found each other," Bella replied, her voice choked with emotion. "But he's been through so much. We need to take care of him." The days that followed were filled with love and healing. Bella cleaned Max's fur, carefully brushing out the tangles and washing away the grime of his journey. She fed him small, frequent meals to help him regain his strength, and every night he slept by her side, his head resting on her lap. Max's wounds began to heal, but the memories of his struggle lingered. At times he would wake up in the middle of the night, startled by the sound of a car or the rustling of the wind. Bella would soothe him, stroking his fur and whispering reassurances until he calmed down. Despite the pain, Max's spirit remained unbroken. He would follow Bella everywhere, refusing to let her out of his sight. When she painted on the porch, Max would sit beside her, his head resting on her knee. When she walked through the garden, he would trot along, his tail wagging happily. One afternoon, as Bella sat sketching Max in her notebook, she looked up and smiled. "You're my hero, you know that?" she said softly. Max tilted his head, his golden eyes locking with hers. "You're the bravest dog I've ever known," she continued. "And no matter what, I'll always be here for you, just like you were for me." Max let out a soft bark, his tail thumping against the wooden porch. It was his way of saying, "I'll always be here for you too." Months passed, and Max grew stronger with each passing day. His golden fur regained its shine, and his playful energy returned. Bella took him on short walks at first, gradually increasing the distance as his strength improved. Each walk was a new adventure for Max, but now he always stayed close to Bella, never straying far from her side. One day, Bella decided to take Max back to the forest where they had been separated. It was a bittersweet journey, but Bella felt it was important to confront the past. "This is where it all began," she said, kneeling beside Max as they stood by the stream where he had rested during his journey. Max sniffed the air, his tail wagging gently. He seemed to recognize the place, but this time there was no fear in his eyes, only a quiet strength. Bella smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "You've come so far, Max," she said. "You're my miracle." As they walked back toward the edge of the forest, Bella felt a sense of closure. The pain and fear of the past were still there, but they no longer defined her. She had Max, and together they had faced the impossible and come out stronger. In the years that followed, Bella and Max's bond only deepened. They shared countless adventures, from quiet afternoons in the garden to long hikes in the mountains. Max became a local hero, known for his incredible journey and unshakable loyalty. People would stop Bella in the street to admire Max, and she would tell them, "He's more than a dog. He's my family." Max's story inspired everyone who heard it, a testament to the resilience of love and the unbreakable bond between a girl and her dog. And though life brought its challenges, Bella and Max faced them together, knowing that as long as they had each other, they could overcome anything. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next video.